The following recorded material comes from a letter written by Reverend Donald Walton, who was born and raised in Hawarden and now residing in Lakeland, Florida at the age of 85. On January 30th, 1896, I was born at the north section of town called Calliope. My parents had built the little house where I was born next to the Presbyterian church that was destroyed by fire. As a child, I recall playing in what was the basement of the church, which probably burned before 1900. My first grade teacher at the Northside School was Miss Eunice Hawarden. My second grade teacher was Miss Anna Smith, who was a wonderful friend to me until she died. Whenever I returned to Hawarden, I always went to see her. My mother was born at Inverness, Quebec Province, Canada. She came to Plymouth County, Iowa to keep house for her brother, who had acquired a farm there. Her parents had come to Canada from Scotland. My father was born at Pana, Illinois. He attended college, taught school, sold insurance. I have an old document which indicates that at one time he held the office of constable. He was accidentally wounded in a hunting accident and died in 1896. The country was having a depression, and my widowed mother had a hard time to earn a living for me and herself. Both of my parents are buried in the Hawarden Cemetery. You requested a record of family history, and it happens that last Sunday, on Washington's birthday, I made a speech about George Washington, which involved one of my father's ancestors. His mother married Reverend James Walton in Ohio. They lived through the Civil War days. His mother was Clarissa Cutler, the daughter of Ephraim Cutler, who was a judge in Ohio. Ephraim Cutler was the son of Manasseh Cutler, who was the pastor of the church at Hamilton, Massachusetts, when the Revolutionary War started with the British seizing Boston. When Paul Revere and others spread the alarm, the patriots of Hamilton went at once to Boston. Manasseh Cutler became the chaplain for the American troops there and became a close friend of George Washington. Washington was concerned about the army, which had left home, and jobs to serve the cause. The government had no money to pay them. Often they lacked food, clothing, and ammunition. Manasseh Cutler and Washington developed a plan to help the soldiers by acquiring more land for the United States and giving the soldiers a chance to get land. The president gave Cutler a letter to present to the first Congress. This resulted in the passage of the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. Cutler was authorized to purchase 1.5 million acres of land north of the Ohio River, including the present states of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan. If one would go to New York City and visit the building at the corner of Wall Street and Broad Streets near the present Stock Exchange, he would see a statue of Washington, and fastened to the base of the statue a metal plaque with the record of this land purchase. Manasseh Cutler's ancestors were Puritans who landed at Salem, Massachusetts in 1630 under John Winthrop as a governor. While in high school, I worked at the Harlan's drugstore before school in the morning and after school until the store closed at night. After graduating from high school in the class of 1913, I went to Morningside College, earning my way by managing a boarding club for students. In the spring of 1917, war was declared, and I enlisted in the Iowa National Guard. After more than a year at Camp Cody, New Mexico, I went overseas with the 34th Division as a sergeant in the Medical Corps. I was in Paris when President Wilson arrived to sign the peace treaty. During this time of waiting, I decided to prepare for the Christian ministry. In September 1919, I went to Princeton Seminary, and after 3 years there, I accepted a call to the DeWitt Reformed Church, which was located in the ghetto of New York City. On the day of my graduation, Elizabeth Reed of Sioux City, Iowa, and I were married. We remained in the same church for 40 years, working with the New York City Mission Society. There we had many interesting experiences. Upon retirement, we were at a small Presbyterian church in New Jersey, and in 1967 came to live at Lakeland, Florida. I am now minister of visitation at the First Presbyterian Church of Lakeland. I'm 85 years old, and in a couple of months my wife expects to be the same age. We enjoy the Florida climate and are always glad to welcome friends from Hawarden. We assure Mr. Walton that his friends in Hawarden are happy to have this bit of information to add to their oral histories of the early settlers. The following information has been given to us by Florinda Schoen Farley, daughter of Matthias and Mamie Phillips Schoen. Florinda was born and raised in Hawarden and tells us about her parents' early life in the Hawarden area.